enemy is coming. Take the child and hide.
Where can we go?
To the caves, now!
I'm scared!
Stay close to me!
The ant whispers of danger. The time has come.
What have you done with them?
We found what was ours. Stay back.
Lies! Those treasures are not yours!
Welcome to today's deep dive. It's really fantastic to have you with us today.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We've got a great one.
We really do. So if you're someone who loves a meticulously crafted fictional universe, but you find yourself staring at a dense pile of lore and thinking, I really just want the core mechanics and the big aha moments without needing a spreadsheet, well, you've come to the right place.
You absolutely have.
Because today, our mission is to journey into the heart of this brilliant fantasy short story by Hugo award-winning author Ann Leckie. It's titled Beloved of the Sun.
A fantastic piece of fiction.
It really is. And
Right.
we're going to extract the essential gears turning under the hood of this world, untangle this massive political chess game between ancient gods, and basically hand you the absolute best insights the story has to offer.
And what makes it so rewarding to analyze isn't just the surface-level magic system. I mean, it is cool. But it's the profound, almost grueling look at the sheer logistical nightmare of maintaining a massive deception.
Right.
In Leckie's world, language isn't just a tool for communication. It is a literal, physical currency of power.
Yeah, that's the central mind-bending premise that we really need to establish right up front. In this universe, whatever a god says must be true.
It's a binding, unavoidable, physical law.
Exactly. If a deity speaks a lie, the universe doesn't just ignore it. The universe is actually forced to bend and contort to make that lie become a reality.
But doing that drains the god's internal power.
Right. And if the lie is simply too big,
Like if it requires more power than the god actually possesses to make it real.
yeah, then that god dies on the spot. It's a system built entirely on absolute, terrifying literalism.
Which fundamentally changes how these powerful beings operate. You know, if you're a deity bound by this law, you don't get the luxury of hyperbole.
No exaggerating your accomplishment.
Exactly. You can't make vague, casual promises to your followers. Every single syllable you utter is a mathematical calculation of your own life force.
It creates this environment where truth is a highly volatile weapon. And deception isn't just morally questionable, it's an incredibly dangerous, high-wire act of survival.
It really is.
Okay, let's unpack this setup, because the story throws us right into the deep end of this mechanic. We start by following our protagonist, a young woman named Itet.
Right.
And she wakes up on a woven mat in front of a low fire, shivering in the dark. She's just survived a near drowning in an icy river.
She has no memory of who she is.
And at first, she can't even speak. But she's not waking up at a normal infirmary. She's surrounded by these bizarre, round clay pots, and they're painted with screaming human faces.
Yeah, it's a very striking image.
So what exactly is going on in this opening scene?
Well, it's a deeply disorienting and grim reality to wake up to. We quickly learn that Itet was intended to be the beloved of the sun.
Which sounds nice, but it's really not.
No, not at all. That isn't a title of nobility, it's the title given to a human sacrifice. Yeah, she was raised and groomed specifically to be burned alive at the age of 20. And this horrific act is designed to grant an immense surge of power to a local deity known as Lord Sun.
Right, and he appears to Itet interchangeably as a sharp-faced man with long black hair and also as a dark, screeching hawk.
Exactly.
But she doesn't actually end up on the pyre. Why is she suddenly sidelined after a literal lifetime of preparation?
Because of the near drowning. Someone actually tried to murder her in the river.
Right.
And in the eyes of Lord Sun and his creepy, disembodied, airy voices, This traumatic event makes Itet damaged.
I see.
The mechanics of sacrifice in this world dictate that an offering must be entirely flawless to yield the maximum amount of power. A damaged sacrifice is a weak battery.
So Itet is abruptly cast aside like a defective product.
Yes, and the authorities select another girl from the cult to burn in her place. A very sweet, naive, and constantly tearful girl named Hondjetat.
It's just a brutal system. But this rejection actually gives Itet a unique vantage point, doesn't it?
It really does.
She starts hearing a tiny, quiet voice whispering directly into her ear. It tells her it's an ant. But given the setting, I'm assuming this isn't just a helpful insect.
Oh, far from it.
Right.
This ant is actually an ancient, marginalized animal god.
Wow.
And here's where we get the answer to those terrifying, screaming clay pots surrounding Itet's fire. Those aren't decorations. They are magical prisons.
That is so dark.
Lord Sun has systematically trapped the ancient indigenous animal gods of the land, deities like crane, snake, wolf, sparrow, and this specific ant, all inside those painted pots.
Just to remove them as threats to his power.
Exactly.
I want to pause on the ant for a second, because initially it feels like that classic fantasy and mentor trope, the wise little creature guiding the lost hero.
Right.
But knowing Ann Leckie's writing, I suspect the ant has its own agenda here.
Oh, absolutely. You really have to keep a close eye on the ant's motivations. It is highly pragmatic. But for now, the ant serves as Itet's informant. And ours too, really.
It starts feeding her the suppressed truth about this entire society.
Yes. What's fascinating here is the big bombshell it drops. Lord Sun is a complete fraud.
A fraud.
He is an interloper who just arrived one day and basically spoke his own dominion into existence. He parades around claiming he created the world, created all the animals.
And famously defeated a terrifying soul-swallowing entity known only as the Nameless God.
Right. That's his big claim to fame.
But if we leap back to that golden rule we established earlier, that gods must speak the truth and lies drain their power, what actually happens to a god whose entire identity is fabricated?
He bleeds. Constantly.
Wow.
Lord Sun is suffering from the ultimate case of imposter syndrome, but with cosmic fatal stakes. Because he loudly and repeatedly claims to be the supreme creator who provides everything for his people, the universe forces him to make good on that claim.
Right.
He has to manually expend his own dwindling magical reserves just to make the mundane crops grow. He is barely scraping by, rationing his own life force to maintain the illusion of absolute omnipotence.
And that is exactly why he is so utterly desperate for the massive artificial power boost he'll get from burning the beloved of the sun.
Precisely.
So behind the curtain of this authoritarian regime, it's actually just a profoundly fragile house of cards.
Very fragile.
And to really highlight how pathetic Lord Sun's operation is, the story introduces a completely different kind of deity to contrast him with. We meet the river Schael.
Oh, the river. Yes.
This god manifests as a massive gray-green fish with a whiskered snout about the size of a man's head. And the river Schael is just wonderfully, brutally apathetic, isn't she?
She is the perfect foil to Lord Sun. The river Schael operates entirely on centuries-old agreements, technicalities, and cold, hard utility.
She doesn't demand love.
Not at all. She doesn't care if the humans living along her banks worship her or resent her. The ant actually breaks down the economics of this beautifully. It says, any good-sized river can be assured of a comfortable living.
It sounds almost like a modern-day utility company or a really stubborn homeowners association.
That is exactly what she is. As long as her waters are navigable, merchants and travelers will toss offerings and sacrifices to her purely out of a transactional desire for safe passage and clean water.
She has absolutely no grand illusions of being a supreme creator.
None. She just wants her jurisdictional agreements respected and her tolls paid.
Which sets the stage for this incredibly tense encounter down at the river rapids. A boat arrives carrying a 12-year-old foreign girl from a culture called the Zuhugo.
Right.
She is traveling to a school run by another river god, the Nalander. We should probably contextualize the Nalander here. The Nalander isn't an enemy army. It's essentially a rival corporate entity.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it.
A different jurisdiction that offers a robust service package, including the school, and this young girl has guaranteed safe passage. But Lord Sun's armed men are down at the docks, aggressively harassing her, demanding to search her luggage.
And her luggage is very specific. She is carrying baskets filled with little carved figures of butterflies.
Right, the butterflies.
Lord Sun's guards are highly agitated by this. Then the wind gusts. The Zukugo girl's cloak billows out, revealing a massive, intricate pattern woven into the fabric. Brown wings bordered in black and yellow, featuring rows of distinct blue circles.
It is undeniably a butterfly.
Completely undeniable.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The moment Lord Sun's heavily armed men see that woven butterfly image on a child's cloak, they are absolutely terrified.
Terrified.
They draw their knives in a panic. Why is an entire military force frightened of a bug motif?
Because the great, terrifying, nameless monster that Lord Sun supposedly vanquished at the dawn of time, it wasn't a monster at all. It was the butterfly god.
Wow.
A profoundly ancient, deeply entrenched deity of rebirth, metamorphosis, and resurrection. Lord Sun is so paralyzingly afraid of her eventual return that he has attempted to violently erase the very concept, the very word butterfly, from his entire territory.
It's a classic hallmark of a dictator. They're often most terrified by symbols of organic, uncontrollable change. But Lord Sun's men overstep. They try to violate the Zukugo girl's guaranteed safe passage to confiscate these butterfly symbols. How does the utility company, the River Schael, react to this breach of contract?
With terrifying efficiency, the river Schael violently possesses Itet's body.
Just takes over completely?
Yes. The river's ancient voice comes tearing out of Itet's throat, an icy, furious flood of anger, to confront Lord Sun's forces directly. She forces the guards to back down and let the foreign girl pass.
That is intense.
It is a crucial moment because it exposes the fraying edges of Lord Sun's monopoly. He is terrified of offending a regional water manager. He is threatened by a 12-year-old foreign student. And most importantly, he is terrified of a woven bug.
It really pulls the curtain back on the weakness of tyranny. But while Lord Sun is playing politics at the river, there is a massive human cost to his deception back up on the hill, specifically in the House of the Chosen Girls.
Yes, the administrative side.
This facility is managed by an older woman named Esfrind, and she is painted as this bitterly competent, highly organized administrator. She spends her days knotting leather cords, meticulously counting quarts of barley and loaves of bread.
We really need to spend some time on the psychological environment of this house, because it is incredibly dark and complex. You have a facility filled with 30 or 40 women who were raised from infancy with one singular defining purpose.
To be burned alive at age 20.
Exactly. When Itet is disqualified, Hondjetat is chosen. And Hondjetat actually wished for Itet to die so she could have the honor of burning.
It's a total inversion of survival instinct.
Precisely. And what happens to the girls who aren't chosen? They're left to live out their lives in a bizarre state of misplaced guilt and perceived failure.
Just awful.
Esfrind, the incredible, capable manager, is one of those women. She was passed over years ago. Her grand reward for not being incinerated is to spend the rest of her adult life managing the mundane logistics of the very cult that rejected her.
It is a heartbreaking existence. And while Esfrind is inside rationing out milk and barley, the environment outside is actively collapsing. Ann Leckie uses this incredible environmental storytelling here.
She really does.
It hasn't rained all winter, and the spring is completely dry. A severe drought is strangling the city.
Which brings us back to the administrative burden we discussed earlier. Lord Sun is desperately trying to force the crops to survive, to maintain his facade as the benevolent provider. But the ant points out something fascinating about the mechanics of this magic. Creating weather, like summoning a localized rainstorm, is actually relatively easy for a deity.
Wait, if making it rain is easy and he desperately needs the crops to grow to feed his people, why doesn't he just summon a storm? Why do it the hard way?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it all goes back to his specific foundational lie. Lord Sun claimed he is the absolute creator. If he admits there is a drought he cannot fix, the illusion cracks. If he summons natural rain, he is relying on an external natural system that he didn't invent. To maintain his specific lie of total manual dominion, he has to bypass the rain entirely.
Oh, wow.
He has to manually force life to thrive in dry dirt. That is fundamentally contrary to nature. I want you to imagine the sheer mind-numbing exhaustion of that. He is essentially having to micromanage the cellular survival of every single radish, every single stalk of barley in every citizen's garden across the city.
Just to prevent them from realizing he's a fraud.
Exactly.
He's literally sweating over radishes while trying to project ultimate cosmic power.
That's a great image. The sheer administrative exhaustion of that lie is bankrupting his energy right before the crucial summer sacrifice. He's completely overextended and on the brink of total collapse.
And that is exactly when the climax hits. The tension breaks with a massive pounding rainstorm. Real natural rain. And when the skies clear, the puddles of water left on the stone plaza outside Lord Sun's house don't just evaporate. They undergo a metamorphosis. The plaza transforms into a massive, heaving, terrifying cloud of real dark-winged butterflies.
It's a beautiful, terrifying scene.
The ancient god of rebirth has officially returned to reclaim her territory.
And Lord Sun is completely trapped. He is stuck inside his temple in his hawk form, pacing frantically. He can't fly out to fight her.
Why?
Because during their last battle, centuries ago, the butterfly laid a very specific curse on him. She told him, "When next I confront you, your power will be broken."
And because she is a god, those words are not a threat.
No, they are a binding physical barrier. He knows that the second he steps outside and officially confronts her, he loses everything.
So the all-powerful creator is cowering in his living room, panicking. He is so desperate that he begs Itet, the girl he just discarded as defective, to help him.
He's desperate.
He literally plucks a stone knife from a dead priest's belt with his beak and tells Itet to hide it under her dress. He wants her to walk back into the women's house and assassinate the sweet, tearful Hondjetat.
He needs the sacrificial energy of a dedicated death immediately to artificially boost his power.
Right, but he physically cannot leave the house to do the killing himself. He even tries to bribe Itet, promising her centuries of unimaginable luxury.
This is a profoundly important moment for Itet's character arc. We learn through glimpses that the old Itet, the one who existed before she nearly drowned and lost her memories, was actually quite vain and cruel.
Interesting.
That previous version of Itet might have taken this horrific deal. But this new Itet, this blank slate who has been listening to the ant, outright refuses.
She takes the knife, but instead of stabbing Hondjetat, she does something much more destructive to Lord Sun's regime. She tells the truth.
Yes.
She walks in and shatters the lifelong illusion. She tells Hondjetat that the sacrifice is a complete fabrication. They don't become radiant, divine beings. They just burn to death in agony for nothing.
She effectively unplugs Hondjetat from the Matrix. She saves her life.
And then Itet walks back out to the plaza to face the music. Lord Sun realizes his assassination plot has failed. The hawk finally snaps. He flies out of the temple in a blind, desperate rage, scattering the swarm of butterflies.
He just completely loses it.
And he screams down at them, "I defeated you. You are nothing. You are no one."
Which is the single biggest tactical error he could possibly make. This is where Ann Leckie's mechanics of truth snap back like a rubber band.
Oh, I love this part.
The butterfly swarm hisses back at him, "I am nothing. I am no one. Your power is broken."
Wow.
Think about the semantic trap he just fell into. Lord Sun had spent centuries violently declaring to everyone that the butterfly was nothing. So because gods cannot lie, she literally assumed that identity.
His own historical lie became the exact, literal truth she needed to destroy him.
Exactly. By screaming, "You are nothing" to her face, he unknowingly fulfills the exact conditions of her ancient curse. The magic violently enforces his words, the hawk screams, his power evaporates, and he just falls dead out of the sky.
It is the ultimate hoist by his own petard. His own stubborn rhetoric was the weapon that killed him. And the aftermath is brilliantly understated. The dictator is dead on the pavement, and the butterflies just peacefully flutter away into the sky like it's just another Tuesday.
No grand cinematic coronation.
Right. The regime change is instantly practical. Esfrin, who we know is hyper-competent, doesn't even pause to mourn. She immediately steps up and takes over the city's food and water logistics because all the high priests are dead.
The animal gods are finally freed from their clay pots.
Yes, and they start conferring with the surrounding villages to re-establish their old territories.
It is a remarkably grounded, unsentimental view of political upheaval. Dictators fall, but the barley still needs to be milled. The water still needs to be rationed.
Very true.
But what's really fascinating is how the newly liberated society treats our protagonists. Itet is not hoisted on their shoulders as a liberating hero.
No, Hondjetat actually deeply resents her.
Yes. She weeps constantly because Itet destroyed her lifelong, comforting illusion of having a divine, glorious purpose, even if that purpose was ultimately fatal.
It's the painful reality of waking up from a lifelong indoctrination. So what does this all mean for Itet moving forward? She wanders down to the riverbank to figure out her next move. While she was crossing the plaza during the climax, the butterfly swarm had aggressively whispered to her, "You will die. I will drink your tears and your blood."
Very menacing.
She is understandably terrified by this threat, and she asks the ant about it, likely expecting some comfort or reassurance. But the ant just calmly explains that the butterfly wasn't making a malicious threat. She was just stating a biological fact.
Exactly. Every human eventually dies, and the earth and the bugs that live in it will consume them.
It's a dark, unvarnished truth. It reinforces the chilling, fundamentally apathetic nature of these ancient gods. They are not evil, but they are not human either.
Right. They operate purely as literal forces of the ecosystem. They don't speak in poetic metaphors. They speak in absolute, terrifying facts of nature.
And the ant, who has been Itet's supposed friend and guide this entire time, is no different.
No different at all. The ant coldly arranges for Itet, along with a very reluctant Hondjetat, to take a boat downriver to the Nalander school. And right before she leaves, the ant makes a very subtle, highly revealing admission. It tells Itet, "Certainly we used you, but had we done nothing, you would be dead now."
Wow.
The ant doesn't view Itet as a friend. It views her as an asset, a highly useful piece on a chessboard that it successfully maneuvered to overthrow a rival and establish a profitable geopolitical connection with the powerful river Nalander.
That is just incredible. Let's gather up all these threads and summarize what we've explored today. We dove into a masterfully constructed world where truth isn't just a moral concept. It is a rigid physical law that binds even the divine.
We examined the sheer, exhausting, administrative frailty of authoritarian deception, how micromanaging a false reality literally drains the life force out of a tyrant.
And we witnessed the deeply pragmatic, almost corporate apathy of ancient deities who care far more about jurisdictional agreements and literal interpretations of vocabulary than they do about human morality.
It really is a masterclass in treating magic as a socioeconomic system. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final lingering thought to chew on.
Go for it.
We just discussed how the ant meticulously orchestrated this entire downfall. It strategically fed Itet-specific information. It very likely timed the arrival of the Zakugo girls' butterflies to coincide with the drought. And finally, it shipped Itet off to establish corporate relations with another river.
Right.
Earlier in the story, the river Schael asked Itet a very pointed question. Did ant surgery dull your wits as well?
Surgery.
Consider the implications of that word, surgery. When Itet nearly drowned in that icy river, she lost her memories and her previous cruel personality. She became a perfectly compliant blank slate.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
Did Itet ever actually regain her free will after she hit the water? Or did the pragmatic ant simply perform psychic surgery on a dying girl's mind to reprogram her into a perfect, obedient worker ant for the returning colony of the gods?
Oh, that is a haunting perspective. A programmed worker ant carrying out the colony's logistics. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope this exploration gives you plenty of new angles to consider regarding the mechanics of truth, the exhausting nature of manipulation, and the underlying motivations of the stories we are told. Keep questioning the narrative, and we will catch you next time.